You read.
Surat cara untuk pemilihan seorang senator diperbuat di bawah Seksyen 1/2 Jadual ke-7 Perlembagaan Persekutuan daripada Tuan Yang Terutama Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak kepada Speaker Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak bahawasanya menurut perenggan A Fasa 1 dalam Perkara 45 Perlembagaan Persekutuan, Yang Berhormat Dr. Nguyen Juling telah dipilih sebagai seorang senator mulai 11 Disember 2017 untuk satu tempoh berakhir pada 10 Disember 2020 dan lagi bahawasanya pada menjalankan kuasa di bawah Seksyen kecil 2 Seksyen 1 Jadual ke-7 Perlembagaan Persekutuan, Seri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong telah berkenan memaklumkan kepada Tuan Yang Terutama di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak mulai 11 Disember 2020 terdapat satu kekosongan di kalangan ahli-ahli Dewan Negara disebabkan tempoh jawatan Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen Juling akan berakhir pada tempoh tersebut dan oleh sebab itu satu pemilihan untuk seorang senator adalah diperlukan. Maka oleh demikian saya Tun Pen Sri Haji Abdul Taib bin Mahmud, Dajah Kebesaran Sri Maharaja Mangkunegara, Satria Bintang Sarawak, Dajah Kerabat Johor Yang Amat Dihormati Pangkat Pertama DK Johor, Dajah Kerabat Laila Utama Yang Amat Dihormati DK Brunei, Dajah Kerabat Sri Indra Mahkota Pahang Yang Amat Dihormati DK Pahang, Sri Panglima Dajah Kinabalu SPDK Sri Utama Mahkota Wilayah, Dajah Sri Setia Diraja Kedah, Dajah Gemilang Sri Melaka, Dajah Panglima Pangkuan Negeri Pulau Pinang, Sri Sultan Salahuddin Aziz Selangor, Dajah Sri Paduka Mahkota Terengganu Kelas Pertama SPMT, Thai Royal Decoration of Knight Grand Cross First Class Ketika Eka Paksi Neraya Indonesia, Korean Order of Unification, Honorary Officer of the Order of Australia AO, Pingat Pengasas Perjuangan Kemerdekaan PPK Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak kepada menjalankan kuasa-kuasa yang diberikan kepada saya oleh Seksyen kecil 2 Seksyen 1 Jadual ke-7 Perlembagaan Persekutuan. Dengan ini menyatakan hasrat saya supaya seorang senator harus dipilih mengikut peraturan-peraturan dalam Jadual ke-7 Perlembagaan Persekutuan dalam mesyuarat Dewan Undangan Negeri yang akan datang, iaitu mesyuarat kedua bagi penggal kelima Dewan Undangan Negeri yang ke-18.
Ahli Yang Berhormat, before the Dewan proceeds with the election, I would like to explain the procedure as provided in the 7th schedule of the Federal Constitution. Any of the honorable members of this House may propose a candidate who wishes, he or she so wishes and must be seconded by another member. Either the proposer or the seconder must submit a statement in writing, signed by the person nominated, stating that he or she is willing to serve as a senator if elected. When all the nominations have been received, I shall announce the names of the persons nominated in alphabetical order and shall then put the names to the vote in that order. Each member present shall be entitled to vote for as many candidates as there is a vacancy to be filled, and the names of the members voting for each candidate shall be recorded, and if a member casts a vote in addition to those allowed, that the vote shall be void. I shall ask the Secretary to call the members one by one, and upon his or her name being called, the members, if he or she so wish, may cast his or her vote for the candidate by saying yes or no. If a member wishes to abstain, he or she shall remain silent, and I shall call his or her name as a second time. If he or she still remains silent, an absentee shall be recorded against such member. I shall declare the candidate who received the largest number of votes as being elected to the office of senator. But if two or more candidates have an equal number of votes, the election of the candidate shall be determined by lot. If there is only one candidate nominated for each vacancy, the mentioned procedure shall not apply, and I shall declare the candidate to be an elected candidate. I shall now call for the nominations for the vacancy. First nomination is proposed by Honourable Member for Kemenang.
Thank you, Dato' Ahmad Speaker. As you have rightly mentioned, the 3-year term of the Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen Jeluing as Ahli Dewan Negara will expire on the 10th December this year, 2020. I rise to nominate Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen to be re-elected by this August House for another term. Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen has served his first term as Ahli Dewan Negara with dedication and honor. He has actively participated in the proceedings of the Dewan Negara. He has also shown during those deliberations that he always promotes and protects the interests, the rights, and the welfare of Sarawak. He has served as a medical officer in various government hospitals in Sarawak since 1978, before joining Sarawak Shah Berhad in 1983, where he remained as Chief Medical Officer for Shell companies in Malaysia until his retirement in January 2007. Besides the above, Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen is very active in politics, where he has been a member of Parti Pesaka Bumi Putra Bersatu, PBB, since the year 2000. He has been elected as a Supreme Council member of PBB since 2013. He was also the Ketua Cawangan for PBB N60 Kakus from November 2009 until November 2017. I am very confident with his vast experience, if re-elected, Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen will continue to advance and safeguard the interests of the people of Sarawak in the Dewan Negara. Therefore, with that, Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to propose that Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen Jeluing be re-elected by this August House as Ahli Dewan Negara for another term. Thank you.
So, the candidate Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen is proposed by the Honourable Member for Kemenang, Yang Berhormat Datuk Dr. Rundi Utom. Seconded by Yang Berhormat Datuk Dr. Abdul Rahman Ismail for Bukit Kota.
Ya, Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to second.
Is there any other member who wants to propose another candidate? Is there any other member who wishes to propose any other candidate? Then there's only one candidate. I hereby declare that Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Nguyen Jeluing is duly elected for a second term as Senator for this House. elected by this House.
Yang Berhormat Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I have received a letter from Yang Berhormat Dato' Noeng Juluing dated 5th November 2020 to confirm his willingness to serve as a senator if elected. Usul daripada Ahli Dewan Biasa.
Ahli Yang Berhormat, I received a motion dated 20th October 2020 from the Honourable Member for Palawan. I shall now call upon the Honourable Member for Palawan to read out his motion.
Thank you, Tuan Speakers. Tuan Speaker, my motion reads as follows. Whereas Malaysia has seen a spate of COVID-19 after the Sabah state election 2020, and the whole medical system in Sabah has been overwhelmed by the spate. And whereas the current turn of the Sarawak State Legislative Assembly ends in June 2021, and there is no urgent need to dissolve the State Legislative Assembly in the near term, and whereas the state government is not only the custodian of the state resources, but the protectors of the well-being of Sarawakians, and nothing is more important than the health of our fellow Sarawakians. And whereas the Election Commission Chief Adugani Saleh has told our CM not to hold the state poll anytime soon on 13th October 2020. And whereas generally the people of Sarawak are against the idea of holding a state election during this COVID-19 pandemic unless truly necessary. Therefore, it is moved that this House hereby resolved that the Chief Minister should not call for the Sarawak state election within 6 months from the date of this motion being passed by this House.
This motion calls on Yang Amat Berhormat Chief Minister not to call for a general state election within 6 months from the date of this motion being passed by this House. This motion is misconceived. The dissolution of the Dewan Undangan Negeri is the sole prerogative of Tuan Yang Terutama Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak pursuant to Article 21, Bracket 2 of the State Constitution of Sarawak. Article 21, Bracket 2 reads, quote, the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri may prorogue or dissolve the Dewan Undangan Negeri, quote ends. This motion is unconstitutional because it violates Article 21, Bracket 2 of the State Constitution, depriving the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri of his constitutional right as to when to dissolve the Dewan Undangan Negeri. This motion cannot be allowed to proceed because to do so would usurp the constitutional power of the head of state bestowed under Article 21, Bracket 2 of the State Constitution of Sarawak. The motion is therefore dismissed. Ahli Yang Berhormat, I received a motion dated 20th October 2020 from the Honourable Member for Palawan. I shall now call upon the Honourable Member for Palawan to read out his motion.
Thank you, Tuan Speakers. My motion reads as follows. Whereas in July 21, 2019, the Election Commission has announced the Reform Action Plan, under which 6 policy committees have been formed to work on various aspects of improving the process of election. And whereas there are tens of thousands of Sarawakians living or working outside the state, and many of them would not be able to return to Sarawak to vote due to logistic and financial restraints. And whereas we have to enfranchise Sarawakians living outside walking away from Sarawak to vote? And where is the Sabah Senate election 2020 from 3rd October to 13th October? Within a short span of 11 days, the numbers of positive COVID-19 cases soared to 2,963 cases. And whereas the current COVID-19 pandemic has presented more barriers for Sarawakians to return home to vote, and whereas our MOH and our Sarawak STMC have also advised to reduce interstate traveling during the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, it is moved that this House hereby resolve that the Sarawak State Government is to demand the Malaysian Election Commission to allow Sarawakians living outside Sarawak to vote, either set up polling stations in Kuala Lumpur, Johor, Penang in Sabah for them to vote, or allow them to vote through postal ballot. Thank you, Tuan Speaker.
Ahli-ahli yang berhormat, this motion calls upon the state government of Sarawak to demand the Malaysia Election Commission to allow Sarawakians living outside Sarawak to vote, either set up polling stations in Kuala Lumpur, Johor, Penang and Sabah, or for them to vote or allow them to vote through postal ballot. Under Regulation 27, capital A, of the elections, bracket, conduct of elections, bracket closes, Regulation 1981, only persons who are required to vote as advance voters can vote outside Sarawak. Regulation 27, capital A, 1. Any person who has registered as a parliamentary or state elector under the election registration of election regulations 2002 and is a person referred to in paragraph A in the definition of absent voter in regulation 2 of the election registration of electors regulation 2002, B, a person referred to in paragraph B in the definition of absent voter in regulation 2 of the election registration of election regulation 2002. C, a member of the police force established by any written law in force in Malaysia other than a member of the police volunteer reserve force, or D, the spouse of a serving member of the General Operation Force shall vote as an advance voter at an election in accordance with the procedure of voting as provided in these regulations. Advance voter is defined under Regulation 2 of the Election, Conduct of Election Regulation 1981 as, quote, a person who is required to vote in advance under Regulation 27, capital A. This motion requires an amendment to Regulation 27, capital A of the Election, bracket, Conduct of Elections, Regulation 1981. Unless and until this pertinent regulation is amended in Parliament, the motion cannot proceed in this August House. Under Part 2, Postal Voters, Elections, bracket, Postal Voting, Regulation 2003, persons entitled to vote as postal voters are stated in Regulation 3. Under Interpretation, Regulation 3 of Postal Voters, Election, Postal Voting, Regulation 2003, quote, post-ballot paper means ballot paper issued to a postal voter, and, quote, postal voter means any person entitled to vote under Regulation 3. the subject matter in the motion transgresses Standing Order 23(2)(6), Standing Order 23(6), and the 9th schedule of the Federal Constitution, List 1, 6(a) of the Federal Constitution, where election is within the purview of the federal authority. Standing Order 23(6) states, quote, no motion regulating to a matter contained in the federal legislative list shall be in order. This motion is therefore dismissed. Ahli-ahli yang berhormat, I had received a motion dated 28 October 2020, a motion from the Honourable Member for Bukit Asek. I hereby call upon the Honourable Member for Bukit Asek to read her motion.
Thank you, Tuan Speaker. This is my motion. Whereas, on the 8th of May 2020, the Sarawak Government and Petronas issued a joint statement on the agreement to settle the ongoing suits between them. The statement stated both parties shall respectively withdraw their appeal and cross-appeal on terms of settlement, amongst which were the followings. Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak dan Petronas seterusnya bersetuju bahawa cukai jualan ke atas produk petroleum yang diperuntukkan di bawah State Sales Tax in bracket taxable goods and rates of tax bracket amendment bracket number 2 order 2018 dikenakan pada kadar yang lebih rendah secara bertempur berdasarkan rundingan yang akan diadakan kelak. Namun begitu, kesemua surat cara dan perjanjian yang telah dipersetujui antara Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak dengan Petronas di bawah Akta Kemajuan Petroleum 1974, Akta 144 masih sah dan berkuat kuasa. Begitu juga, Petronas masih diiktiraf sebagai syarikat minyak negara yang mempunyai kuasa penuh dalam mengawal seluruh pembangunan industri minyak dan gas di negara ini selaras dengan perlembagaan bersekutuan. On 10 of June 2020, the Sarawak Consultative Committee on MA63 unanimously refused to recognize the statement as a formal agreement. Nevertheless, the state government never revoked nor withdrew the statement. On 3rd of August 2020, the appeal and cross-appeal were respectively withdrawn on terms which were not disclosed. It is in the public interest that a full disclosure of the agreed terms be made. Therefore, it is moved that this House hereby resolve that the state government makes a full disclosure to this August House on the agreed terms of settlement with Petronas.
Ahli-ahli yang berhormat, on 6 November 2018, pursuant to Standing Order 89, read together with Article 24, bracket 1 of the State Constitution of Sarawak, a consultative committee was formed comprising honourable members from various political parties, including the Speaker. The meeting of the consultative committee will be chaired by the Speaker. On June 20th, the consultative committee met to discuss a joint statement purportedly signed between the Honourable Member for Samariang and the Assistant Minister of Law on one hand, and Tan Sri Ahmad Nizam Saleh of Petronas on the other hand. The consultative committee unanimously came to the conclusion that the statement was not signed by the Assistant Minister of Law, that the said statement did not tantamount to a formal agreement. The consultative committee has not, at the material time, received any report from the state government on the matter. Under Standing Order 20, Understanding Order 20, bracket 2, bracket E, quote, without prejudice to paragraph 1, every question shall not refer to proceedings in a committee which have not been reported to the Dewan. Quote ends. Erskine May, 25th edition, page 1065, paragraph 40.40, quote, a report of a select committee may not be made publicly available until it is available to members of the House. By practice, select committees often supply advance copies of their reports to such government departments, witnesses, lobby journalists, and the media representatives as the committee thinks fit. Such copies are supplied under embargo until a specific time and date. Quote ends. Therefore, the matter discussed in the select committee shall not be referred to in this motion and be deliberated upon and debated until the report is made available to the honorable members and discussed among the honorable members of the consultative committee. Only then, the matter can be made public and deliberated in the Dewan. Standing Order 32, bracket 11, quote, if the Speaker is of the opinion that any motion or amendment or the continuance of the debate thereon is calculated to give rise to breaches of this standing order, he may disallow the motion or amendment, or as the case may be, terminate the debate and direct that no further proceedings be taken on the motion or amendment. Therefore, the matter discussed in the select committee shall not be referred to in this motion and to be deliberated upon and debated until the report is made available to the honorable members and discussed among the honorable members of the consultative committee. Only then the matter can be made public and deliberated in the Dewan. Standing Order 32, bracket 11, quote, if the Speaker is of the opinion that any action or amendment or the continuance of or the debate thereon is calculated to give rise to breaches of this standing order, he may disallow the motion or amendment, or as the case may be, terminate the debate and direct that no further proceedings be taken on the motion or amendment. The motion is therefore dismissed. Ahli-ahli yang berhormat, the sitting is now adjourned and the House shall resume its sitting at 9 a.m. tomorrow.